It is so great chatting with Jack the Joker Hermansson, who's going to be headlining UFC Fight Night next Saturday, February 5th against Sean Strickland. Jack, how's it going, man?
It's great. It's great. I'm here in Las Vegas, so climatizing and everything feels good.
Yeah, I saw that. When did you get in? How long have you been in Vegas?
I came Saturday, so I have 2 weeks here in total.
Tell me how easy the negotiations were booking this fight, because you guys both have the same management company.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was just coming down to if I could get another opponent that was higher ranked above me or not. I knew that Strickland wanted the fight, and we tried to see if there was anything else available, like Paulo Costa or maybe a rematch with Vittoria or something like that. But that wasn't happening, so I'm just like, yeah. Then Strickland is the next guy. He has a good win streak and is ranked just one place behind me, so it's a good one.
And before we talk about the matchup, we haven't spoken since you wrestled Khamzat Chimaev. How was that whole experience? Because I know you had never done something like that before.
Yeah, it was cool to do. It was my first. I've been wrestling before, but not the freestyle wrestling match.
Yeah. The
It's
actual
obvious.
competition is what I meant. Yeah, of course you've wrestled before, but I meant like an actual
Yeah,
competition like that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So definitely a new experience, and it was fun. Even though it didn't go my way, so I wasn't happy with that. But it's always something you can take from it. So yeah, all good.
What surprised you the most about him in that fight or match, I should say?
Uh, Not much. We have been training together, so I know what he's good at, and I knew that he was gonna be good at those situations. So it was a little bit, we actually talked before we went out there. If he gets into those situations, I'm gonna be defensive. But when you're in there in the heat of the moment, I didn't played it too smart. So and with a wrestling match, two throws and it's basically over. So. Yeah, but yeah, it was all good and fun.
A lot of people were surprised at the weigh-ins how big he was next to you. I don't know if you had met him before, but were you surprised just how big he was?
No, we've been training together, so I knew that he's big, he's strong, and
And somehow
I
he makes
cut.
170, right? Like, it's crazy that he fights at that weight class, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's very big for that weight class, for sure. I cut a little bit of weight before our bout, and he weighed in as his natural weight, but we are kind of the same size. I'm a little bit heavier, but not much.
Do you think, I mean, it's not officially booked yet, but they verbally agreed to it. Do you think he will beat Gilbert Burns when they fight? Because that's the rumor, is they're going to potentially fight each other.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. I think that's his greatest challenge so far in the UFC. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have no idea what's gonna happen in that
Oh,
one.
but Jack, if I give you some money, though, I
Uh,
give you a bag of money. Who you putting your money on? Because I think the odds are going to be close in that one.
yeah, they probably are, and I think that Gilbert Burns is definitely the better grappler, like on the ground. But
Mhm.
Khamzat is the probably the better wrestler, and then it's coming down to the stand up. It might be a stand up battle, and I know that Khamzat has a lot of power in his hands. So um, yeah, I might be putting my money on him.
All right, there you go. And just last thing on that, would you ever take another match like you just had the freestyle wrestling match? Would you do it again?
I would like the thing is that uh, I would do it. I would do a grappling match.
Right.
Instead. I don't see my wrestling as my where I am the best. I'm actually better on the ground than I am as a wrestler. So yeah, if I would do it, I would probably do it in my terms, and that would be a grappling match. And yeah, because I feel like going into like someone else's game, people don't care about it when you lose, right?
Mhm.
So you better might as well do it where you feel like you have the upper hand.
Let's talk about Sean Strickland. Pretty intense guy, and obviously quite the personality. But aside from all that, style-wise, how do you look at this fight? He's a pretty well-rounded fighter.
Yeah, he's good. He's good in all areas of the game, and he is very durable. He has a high pace when he fights, like I do. And he's a tough matchup for anybody. No big holes or weaknesses, and really good scrambles, and always brings a fight. So I think it's a tough matchup for anybody.
Have you like mentally prepared for like the stare down and the face off and stuff? Because I mean, he's a bit like he's kind of a wild card, right? Is that something you've thought of ahead of this fight?
Yeah, I thought about it, but at the same time, I don't feel like he holds any grudge against me, and vice versa. So I think it's going to be relatively friendly until the bells rings.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you fought Vittori as well. He's a pretty emotional guy too. So I mean, you've sort of been through that already. Maybe not the extent of Strickland, but still,
Yeah,
that's one thing to look at. Training camp. How did things go back home? Who did you get to work with? How did camp go leading into this?
It was all right. I worked with my boys at Frontline Academy in Oslo, and I was pretty happy with the camps. There's always challenges in all of your camps, and always things that you wished would have gone different. But at the same time, I don't have any big injuries, and I feel well prepared. So I'm happy with that, but I'm still waiting to get that perfect training camp where everything goes as planned, right?
For sure, yeah, no, absolutely. Who did you get to who did you get to work with as far as bodies in the gym? Any names that you can remember in terms of guys you got to work with?
Yeah, some locals. I had my guy Ole Magnor is a guy. He is kind of very Strickland like, so we took him into to our gym to work with him. Have similar body and fighting style. Yeah, that was one of the guys, and then we have a couple of guys at our gym as well that has similar body types. So we've been working with them.
And a lot of up and comers, which is nice too. I'm sure you're getting that nice push from some of these guys that haven't maybe necessarily proven themselves, so they're going to give you a good push in camp, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there is always a lot of work that can be done, even if there aren't like very well known fighters. I think that you just need to do the work properly in the gym, and you're gonna be well prepared.
And then on that same note, something we talked about last time before going into the wrestling match, I know you were having some health issues. Have those sort of cleared up? I know they weren't COVID related, but you were telling me that you were dealing with some things even going into that wrestling match.
Yeah, definitely. It was a rough fall for me with just my body wouldn't really adapt to the community reopening again. There was just like I was getting cold after cold, and couldn't get my training going. But that has been clearing up, and I feel my body is adapted now, and things has been going a lot better since this.
Well, I was going to say, you don't sound congested in this interview, so that's a good sign, which is great. So there you go. And kind of on that same note, how's the weight cut going? Again, we have a bit of time here. You're in Vegas. I'm sure you get access to the PI and get all those good meals and everything. So how's all that going?
All well with that. Well, I'm like 92 kilos now.
Okay.
So 8 kilos from weight. I'm not sure
cool.
what that is in pounds.
No, don't worry about it. I'll convert it after, and I'll kind of make my notes. Because when you said that, I'm like, I got to go back and figure it out. Yeah. We use pounds here, obviously, which is interesting. Who ended up making the trip with you? Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
Mohsen Bahari, who is my head coach. He's already here with me. And then my grappling coach, Eduardo Teta Rios, is coming in as well. And another guy called Christian Bastiansen. So I have 3 guys with me in the corner.
That's awesome. And how do you envision this fight playing out next Saturday? I know you feel like you're going to win, otherwise why sign the contract? But how do you envision the fight playing out?
I don't want a hard, tough, long, grueling fight with Sean, even though I know that that's a possibility. I want a quick, nice finish, and that's how I envision the fight. So I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna be precise, and I'm gonna hit him and make it a quick night. So first or second round finish.
Love it. Always got to ask you about a couple other fights. Adesanya and Whittaker, the rematch.
I think that it's going to be a lot tougher for Adesanya this time, but I still think that he's gonna pull it off, but it's definitely gonna be a tough fight because I think Whittaker is probably gonna use a little bit more wrestling in this one.
Jiri Prochazka and Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight title.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to my man Prochazka. We've been training together, so like the guy, and I know how extremely awkward he is, especially in the stand-up. It's just really hard to prepare for. So I think I'll give him the edge.
How did you and Jiri link up? Was this the first time you trained together, or have you trained before?
It was first time. His friend and training partner, Patrick Kinsel, he has been coming regularly to our gym. So so he brought them to us. So
well, how was it
really
training
nice
with him? Again, there's no one like Jiri out there, man. He's got such a different fight style, right?
It was really cool actually, and we had I think we connected really well, and my strengths. I think those were very helpful for him, and his strengths were very, very helpful for me. And we took some time just to we spoke together about our philosophies and our styles, and I think we learned a great deal from each other. Actually, it was really, really interesting to both speak to him and train with him for a week.
And I love the fact that his English isn't that strong, but he like tries to speak it and he'll try and communicate, because I've interviewed him before, and he's just like such a nice guy, like such a really like, he doesn't look like it in the cage. He looks really mean, but he's actually a really nice guy.
Yeah, really nice guy. And as you said, he's always trying to do his best to communicate, and he has a great personality.
As far as Strickland and, this being a main event, does a win, especially a finish, does that get you right back in that conversation to kind of where you were before the Vettori fight of, getting to fight those big names, getting closer to that title shot?
Yeah, it definitely does. I think if I have a great performance, I'm going to be right up there again, just because of the situations in this division. Everybody's basically fought everybody. Now you have Brunson and Cannonier coming up, and Cannonier has already fought Whittaker. Brunson has already fought Adesanya. I think they need some new blood in there, and I think I'm one of the guys that definitely can challenge for the title.
And remind me again, how many more fights do you have left on your contract?
I'm not sure myself. I think 2 after this one.
Oh, okay, so a few. Because I was going to say, usually, like when you're on the second last fight, that's usually when you negotiate. Is after when you have one fight left, you usually renegotiate, right? So
yeah, exactly. Oh, it might be actually 2 with this one. So I think we're gonna get in that position after.
So you think after this one you'll probably renegotiate? Is what you're thinking, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I always wonder that. I mean, you're obviously in a good spot if you're fighting in a main event, right? They obviously think pretty highly of you, so it's not like they're up putting you on the prelims or anything.
Well, exactly. I'm super happy with that. I have a lot of main events now, so grateful for getting those kind of opportunities.
And speaking of contracts, one of the big topics right now is this whole thing with Francis Ngannou and the UFC. What do you make of that as someone who's, not in the heavyweight division, but someone who deals with the UFC and contracts? It's a little interesting because he's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see both sides of it. And myself, I think that, I'm in a fair position. But I definitely can see a guy like Francis that, he's a big star and bringing in a lot of money into the business, and he wants his fair share of it. And especially when he sees other opportunities outside of UFC, and you're locked into a contract, and you're not, you might not have the possibility to earn those money, then you want to do it in the company. And so I can see his view of this absolutely.
And my last question, most important one, you're in Vegas. I know you're not training all the time. What's downtime looking like? You going to check out the sites a bit? I know we're still in a pandemic. Are you watching any, Netflix or playing any video games? What are you doing on your downtime, other than interviews with me, obviously?
Yeah, definitely a lot of Netflix, and we've been out in the mountains a little bit.
Okay.
Probably gonna go out again because The other stuff is usually in more crowded areas, and I don't want to get a positive COVID test before the fight
Yeah, got to
begins.
be
So
careful. Yeah, especially don't want anything to happen on this main event. So no black cats, no going under a ladder. You got to make sure there's no bad luck around you, right? So
exactly.
yeah, you got it made there too. What are you watching on Netflix? If I hacked into your Netflix account, what's it going to say under continue watching?
Right now, I'm finished with all of my series, but the last couple of series that I watched was first the Witcher,
Okay, cool.
which is a great fantasy series, and then a documentary series that's called Cheer, which is about
Oh yeah,
cheerleading.
cheerleading. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah,
And
that's cool.
yeah, people might think that I don't know about that, but it's a really great documentary, and you can see how hardworking those guys are. So really interesting series that I can recommend.
Well, I'll give you one because when you go into different countries, you get different Netflix selections. So what you're going to see in the U.S. is going to be different than what you have back home. But I'll give you one as a Canadian. Have you ever seen Trailer Park Boys? It's a comedy.
No,
Have you ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
Okay, check it out if you have time.
Yeah.
I know you got a big fight coming up, but check it out.
Yeah.
Next interview, I want to hear if you got to see it because I think it's hilarious. And I actually have a lot of American friends because it's a Canadian show that actually think it's really funny. So I'd be curious to see what Jack Hermansson, the Joker, thinks of it with it being a comedy.
I'm looking forward to see it. Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, it's called Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, all separate words.
Okay.
Trailer Park Boys. So there you go. There's my recommendation. And I have a recommendation for people to watch this fight night. It's February 5th. It's going to be awesome. Jack, thank you so much for doing this. Anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to thank? I'll give you the last word.
Thank you to my team and training partners at Frontline Academy. And thank you to all of my fans. And for you guys that hasn't been checking me out yet, go into my social media, Jack the Joker MMA. And I also have a YouTube account, Jack Hermansson.